right screen. Okay, let's see how that goes. Okay, all right. So can everyone still see my screen? Yes? No? Yes? Raise hand?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay, great. Okay, all right. So let's go to one of the section views a little quick. Okay, so section view sheets A 3.0, and particularly looking at a B1. This is a section view for the front, the storefront. Okay, you will see the current one right there. Okay, what we haven't actually done as part of the structural framing is actually there is one individual framing component we haven't got a chance to do last time, which is this hollow structural steel 6x6x5/16. This horizontal beam here is actually a major structural component for the front facade of that storefront. So you have the curtain wall system, the storefront system at the bottom of the wall. At the top, above that curtain wall system, you have the regular IFES system, which is a typical, facade wall you use in retelling buildings. Now, what we need to do is actually add that missing structural component to our original framing plan. Okay, so the size of that stretch component is HSS 6x6x5/16, which is easy, but here says more details in terms of where it's supposed to be, that kind of thing. You're supposed to find that from the structural drawings. So we'll go to sheets S5.0. Okay, so those details are for the structural framing, and you're looking at this particular detail here right above the curtain wall system, and you see that particular hollow structural steel, which is here. In terms of its location, it's 1 inch. It's 1 inch gap, okay, with a compressive filler right above the curtain wall itself. It's a 1 inch gap there, okay? So you know its location, you know its actually size, and here is a note that you need to pay attention to is in terms of its horizontal location. It says here, continuously welded to face of column. So you will need to actually weld this hollow structural steel to the face of the columns at the front on grid line 8. So that's the location of that um, um, structural beam right there. Now, its height, because this is 1 inch above the current wall system, it will be useful for us to actually find out, the height of the current wall. Then we can actually calculate what exactly at what elevation is this HSS structure still located. So we'll go back actually to A3.0 and look at this particular detail here in the middle, B1, okay, detail. All of you try to tell me, okay, what is the height of that curtain wall system? I'm looking at this particular part here, okay? This particular part here. So what is the height of the curtain wall system? If you could actually type your answer in your chat box, that'd be great, okay? Let's see what is the height? Can you find it out? Okay, well, we got that right answer already there. So Jerry answered 9 foot 8 inches. That's exactly right. See that? 9 feet 8 inches, top of storefront. Okay. So let's do the math here, right? So 9 feet 8 inches is the top of the current wall. Then you had a 1 inch gap there. Okay, so that's 9 foot 9 inches. Then you remember that when we actually try to place stretch component, it's always starting at its top level. So in this case, the HSS structural beam we're going to try to place is actually 6 inches tall, right? Thickness wise, okay, 6 inch. So add a 6 inch to 1 inch to 9 foot 8 inches. You get that top of the structural, okay, top of the structural steel here is supposed to be 10 feet 3 inches, right? 9 feet 8 inches plus 1 inch gap plus 6 inch of its own depth. That gives you 10 feet 3 inches. So that's the height you need to place in. However, model we do not have a 10 feet 3 inches, obviously, right? So what we need to do is actually want to choose a level to place it, and we oftentimes choose the top level, a high level, when we're trying to place structural components. So what we need to do is we are going to place that at a 10 feet at the 14 feet 8-inch joist bearing level. Okay, so open your Revit model. Okay, open your Revit model, and let's go to our floor plan. Let's go to joist bearing 14 feet 8 inches. Okay, a little quick. Now, so where is this structural steel supposed to be? It was supposed to be by the face of the column. Okay, one thing I probably would recommend you do in this case is we're trying to place this structural beam and we have this roof in place. We can definitely, you know, kind of hide this roof so we can actually see the column location and be able to actually weld the structural steel to the column. So here we can actually hide the roof here. Does anyone remember what is the shortcut key we use to hide something? Does anyone still remember? Anyone suggest that in your chat? What's the command we can use to hide the roof? We showed that in the class last time. Something called hide element, right? You can right click, okay, say hide in view, hide element. Or like I said, there's a shortcut key combination, which is E stands for element and H stands for hide. So you can click on that and type EH, and EH is going to hide that component. Okay. Now, if we go down here, all right. So what we're trying to look for is when we want to look at the columns, obviously. Okay, the column is actually right here. Do you see the column? Okay. Sometimes the color is actually distracting. Okay, I'm not sure about you, but I find the colors of the texture is really distraction. In that case, what I'm trying to do is actually hide the color. So I will actually change my view style. Okay, at the bottom of the screen, change the view style to hidden line. The hidden line is going to cancel, right? It's going to cancel the color of that um, component. Now, the structural, the horizontal structural steel that we are currently missing is going to go everywhere that gutter goes. So we're going to start right against that wall here, all the way across the whole building, and weld to the face of the columns all the way to the other side. Okay. Well, obviously, I understand that. Well, in reality, nobody's going to manufacture such a long, hollow, structural steel. You will actually produce standardized size, such as maybe 20 feet, 40 feet, or whatever footage it is. Then you splice them, at a spot of installation. But for the sake of saving our time, we're going to just draw this thing at one time. Okay. So what we're going to do is make sure that you are on the level 2 joist bearing 14.8. Okay, so then we're going to go to our structural component and we're going to trying to place a beam. So it's going to be a structural beam. Now in this case, at this moment, we don't really have that structural beam loaded. We need a hollow structural steel. Okay, you probably remember we had columns that is HSS, but again, like I said, the column is a vertical structural component and the beam is a horizontal structural component, so they're quite different. So what we need to do is we need to load that component. So if we go to load family, okay, because we look up, we don't really find that HSS 6x6x516 structural steel we need. So we need to go to load family. So when you actually go to load a family, you probably see something like US Imperial. That's the library folder. So we need to go into structural framing. Okay, again, structural framing. And it's a steel structural framing component. And you'll see HSS, hollow structural section steel, right? We choose that one. And then you'll see the whole list of different sizes that manufacturers provide. So the one we need is actually HSS 6x6x516. So you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna find that right there, okay? HSS 6x6x516. Okay, so choose that, and now you will have the hollow.
Professor,
Yes.
sorry. What folder did you click after structural framing?
Steel.
Still okay.
Yeah. Did you get that?
And then what's after that?
HSS hollow structural section. Then did you choose the size to be 6x6x516? Do you see that?
6 by 6.
6 by 6 by 5/16. So you're here, you're gonna choose the HSS hollow structural section. When you say open, you'll see the whole list, right? Then you scroll down until you see 6 by 6 by 5/16. See that?
6 by 6 by 5, 6.
Okay. Then you click on OK to load it. In my case, I have already loaded, so I don't have to load it again, right? Okay. So then in your property palette, you should be able to see that particular type of structural still there available. Any other questions?
6 by 6.
You can't find, it's supposed to be ordered, they're supposed to be organized in order of size. Did you get it?
Yeah, I think I got it.
Okay. All right. Once you get that, what I'm gonna do is, like I said, I know that when I was supposed to draw the whole thing at one time, because in reality, you would not have such a long structural steel, right? So what we're gonna do, we just pretend that we do have that, okay? Then again, we need to actually move that structural steel next to the column because they are welded to the column, right? It is welded to the column. So you would say, well, why don't you start from this point here? Well, yes, we can, but the thing is, it would not be able to actually snap to things. So we would like to use the column as a reference first. Okay, we just snap to the face of the column anyway. Okay, one thing you'll probably notice later on is because the actual justification, which means when we're trying to place this structure steel, it will actually follow the center line of the structure steel, which is kind of, not exactly what we want, but that's okay. We can move that little more. So at this point in time, we just go ahead and click on that, the first column, the exterior face of the column, go all the way across, okay? Go all the way across the building right here, okay? And until you see the other wall. So you will actually stop, okay? Stop at the wall, okay? So that's where you're gonna stop. All right, so then after you do that, you'll see the structural steel. Make sure, okay, those arrows actually they go to the face of that wall. So on the other side, you will extend, okay, this part. What's that?
I have a question. I can't seem to find the columns. Like it's not appearing on my screen. I'm on the right floor plan.
Okay, so do you see a pop-up message says anything placed cannot be visible?
No.
Okay, did you place it though?
The columns? Yes.
No, the columns. Oh, the columns. You can't see the columns?
Yeah, I can't see the columns.
Do you have your roof height hidden? Did you hide your roof?
Yes.
So look at the grid line A2. Can you see that column there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the column you're looking for.
I don't have that. I don't know why.
You don't have A2 column?
It doesn't even a column doesn't show.
In your 3D view, do you see the column there though?
Let me check right now. Yeah, it's placed there.
It's there, right?
Yeah.
And the elevation is 16.4, the topmost point. You can use the spot elevation to check it.
64?
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try one more thing. All right. Come here. Okay. And what you need to do is actually check your view range.
Wait, the floor plan?
Yeah. Go back to your floor point.
Okay.
You're saying you can't see this column, right?
Yeah, I can't see that.
Okay. And your roof is already hidden.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you see at this spot?
It just sees like it just shows like I think it shows the wall. The brick.
The wall? You don't have a wall here.
Oh no, well it looks like there's concrete.
Right, that's the slab underneath it.
Yeah. So it just shows that. But I can't see the column itself.
Well, you can't see this column. How about other columns?
Let me check. No, none of the other columns are showing either.
Okay, do this. Don't select anything. Look at your rearrange. Go to
Okay.
your project browser, rearrange, follow the palette, rearrange. Okay. Check. Let's choose, make the bottom to be level below. Click on apply. Does it actually help?
I'm trying to find where it says view range.
Right here. Look at my screen first.
Yeah, where it says extents.
Yes. Click on edit. Fix your bottom rearrange to be the
which-
level below,
Okay.
and also the level with depth to be level below. And click on OK. You see that?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not working now. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, how about do this? Try one more thing. Change
Okay.
your view style. Look at my screen. Change your view style to wireframe.
Okay.
Does it help?
Oh, all my beams pop up.
You still do not see the column?
I can see the beams now, but the columns still don't show up.
Okay, now one more thing. Are you on the floor plan or the ceiling plan?
I'm on the floor plans.
You're on the floor plan.
Yeah.
And you double checked your spot elevation is 16.4.
Hold on,
3D,
yeah.
hide your roof. Check your spot elevation for me. Go to annotate, spot elevation.
Okay.
Is how much, what's the reading?
It says 16.4.
Okay, and you have those gutters next to it.
Yes.
So go back to your drawer span 14.8. Hide the gutters. Choose the gutter. Do you see the gutters now?
Oh, the good. Okay. Wait. The gooder.
Hide the two gutters. Now can you see it?
No, it's. I don't know. I can't see it.
You cannot see the column.
Nope.
And you are sure you're on the floor point.
Yes, I'm sure. It says floor plans and then there's ceiling
Okay,
plan.
let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. You share your screen.
Oh, I'm on. Okay.
You share your screen with me.
Hold on. Let me turn on.
Not a video. Your screen.
No,
At the bottom of your screen, there's a share your screen with me. Do you see that?
I'm not on my laptop.
What are you on?
My iPad. For
You are
Zoom.
on your iPad?
Yeah, for Zoom. But I'm on my computer here.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Well, I can barely see it, but okay. Go. Where are you looking at exactly?
This is a.
I'm asking you to look at A2. Zoom in. Keep zooming in. That's the column.
Yeah, yeah. Do I
That's
hide
the
these?
column. No, the square. That's the column. Yes. I want you to draw that structure still by selecting the edge of the column. That's what I was saying. You see this column, okay? All right. Okay. So look at my screen now.
Okay.
I'm seeing what exactly you are seeing. That's the
Yeah.
column. What I did is actually I drawed the structural steel here. Okay. Now let me share my screen a little quick again. The screen you're looking at, I'm looking at the column. That's the column I'm talking about.
Okay, I see. I see now.
Okay, that's the column. You're looking at the wrong place. You're looking at this, not there.
Yeah.
You don't have a column there. You're looking at a column. Remember that at the front we only have column A2 through A11.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember now.
All right, so did you place this horizontal structural steel?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. All you have
I
to do now, let's make sure that you extend this thing towards both ends of the wall. Okay. This end is supposed to be against this wall, and to the other end is supposed to be against the other side of the wall. Okay. Now, what do we need to do? Go to your 3D view a little quick at this point. All right. Once you see that 3D view, now obviously there's a couple questions, a couple problems as a matter of fact, right? First problem, the column, okay, is actually gets inside of the structural steel, which is not supposed to be the case. Because we want to weld the structural steel, the horizontal structural steel, to the face of the column. So we need to move that forward a little bit. Second is this is not at the right elevation because currently that structural steel's elevation is 14/8, right? So we need to fix that two problem. So let's go back to our JB 14/8. The first thing I want you to do is this, right? So choose one of the columns you can see here, okay? So grab that structural steel you just placed, which is the HSS 6x6x516, okay? Grab that. Then what I want you to do is this, right? Go to your modify structural framing tab there and you see the modify. Then I want you to choose this component, this command, which is called move. Okay, see move right there? All right, click on move. Then once you click on move, first thing you're gonna select is actually the outer face, which is the exterior, the upper boundary of your structural steel. Click on that. Okay, click on that. Then move to the face of that column. Okay, and just say unjoin component. That'd be fine. If that actually make that extension fail, then you just move that, extend that again. Okay. That's way too much. All right. Let's actually drag that, and all the way extend to the wall. Okay, that's what you need to get to. Okay, right there. Then once we get that fixed, if you go, you can go back to your 3D view. You can see now it's actually on the face of the column. Okay, now the height of this structure steel is not correct yet, so we need to go back as well. So now, how do we actually change the elevation of a structural steel, like a structural beam in this case? Well, obviously you cannot drag that in 3D view because it's not going to be accurate, right? So remember that what we had tried before is take advantage of this start and end level offsets, okay? So currently our level is at 14 feet 8 inches. The desired height of top of this move part again, crashed. Okay, all right, let's do that again. So what happened previously, right? Okay, the HSS structural steel is here. It's in the center. You see the column actually interface actually kind of cuts through that horizontal structural steel. So what we need actually is move the structural steel out a little bit to the face of the column. So you select that structural steel first. You click on the move command, which is under modify, move command. Then you grab that interior side of that structural steel, then move that to the face. Okay, do you see that face of the column? And you probably say, yeah, it cannot keep elements joined. That's fine. All you have to do is just extend that thing. Okay, what we have done. Move that to the face and say unjoin elements. So this is going to be short again. All you have to do now is just extend it. Okay, again, after you move it to its right location, you extend that again until you hit that edge of that wall. Okay, that'd be good enough. So you see now the structural steel is actually on the face of it. If your beam is locked and won't allow you to move it, I'm not sure if I understand that correctly. So your beam is locked, is actually physically locked, it has a lock sign on it, or you just say if you move that, it's going to be unjoined. If it says unjoined, then that's fine, Patrick. So you just unjoin it, just like I did. Try that. Did that work? Patrick, did that work? Okay. When you say your beam is locked, what does it mean? Yeah, explain that to me, please.
When I'm in the what is this, the 14.8,
Uh-huh.
it won't allow me to select it. It's just
You
it's
can't
not
even
light
select
color.
that?
No.
Does it actually? Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay. In that case, you can still see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But when you move your mouse, try to select that, you can't even select it.
No.
Okay. Did you try to change your view range at all?
I would changed it and I went to 3D and I was able to move it to the wall, but I can't move it to the face of the beam or the face of the column.
Right. But my question is, on the JB14/8 view, can you actually use your mouse to select that beam?
No, I can't.
No. Okay. So, but you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So try to change your view range then. Change your view range. You first scroll down, change your view range. Do you have a view range like what I set up here? Do you have a level below at a finished floor 0, 0?
Let's see. No, I don't. So
Okay, so change that to level below. And also the view depth to be level below. Then click on OK.
okay. Oh, there it is.
Now try that again. Can you select that now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you know how to move it this time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So once we get that, now the next question becomes, well, even though this thing now is actually in the right place, but it's not at the right height. Our current height is at 14 feet 8 inches. We want this thing to be at 10 feet 3 inches, right? Remember that it's 1 inch above 9 feet 8 inch, which gives you 9 foot 9 inches. But you have to take into account its own thickness, which is 6 inch. So you're adding 6 inch on top of 9 feet 9 inches. That's actually 9 feet 15 inches, which is 10 feet 3 inches. So your current heights of the elevation is 14.8. You want to move that down to 10 feet 3 inch. The difference is 4 feet 5 inches. So what you need to do is at this point, you need to actually use that calculation. So it's actually minus, okay, minus 3 foot, 4 foot 5 inches. That will give you 10 feet 3 inches, okay? So you do that, can copy that offset value for both start level offsets and end level offsets. Does that make sense? Okay, you currently at 14.8, but you need to move them to 10 feet 3 inches. So difference is 4 feet 5 inches. So you need to apply an offset to both the start and the end of the stretchable beam. So then once you do that, then you go to 3D view. It will be moved down, right? So to double check on that, you need to apply, let's try the spot elevation again. So that give you that dimension right there, if that makes sense. So any questions on this? Any question on moving this structural steel to 10 feet 3 inches? If not, we're gonna move on. Samuel, you have a hands-on. Do you have a question or you already have your question answered?
Oh, I already have my question answered. I meant to lower my hand.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, So in that case, we are done with the structural steel, which is missing from our previous model. Now we have really truthfully a complete structural framing, okay? Now let's move on to our curtain wall systems, okay? So the curtain wall system isn't really that, okay, big a deal, but it does get some tricky parts when we're trying to model the actual curtain wall itself, okay? Couple questions there. We already know, first thing is the height of the curtain wall is actually 9 feet, 8 inches, right? That's the height. Now, in terms of its location, the curtain wall system sits right by the edge of the slab, right? Right by the edge of slab. So when you look at your model, what you have is basically the slab edge, which is this green line there. Remember that? The green line is where the slab edge is, okay? So that's where the slab edge is. Now, the slab edge is here, okay? And the curtain wall sits right by the slab edge, which is perfect because we already have a model line as a reference line in place. However, there's one thing I want to remind you is when we place a curtain wall in the system in Revit, what it does is it really only places the piece of glass first. Then you're supposed to place the rest of those moldings. I call it moldings because it's that name of the component. But if you want to look at what I mean by that, you can search for, say, curtain wall storefront, and look at that image there. You see those aluminum pieces there, for instance, okay? Those aluminum pieces there at the bottom. So those are the moldings. The moldings has a thickness. The thickness typically the thickness of the moldings typically is 5 inches, which means if you look at your Revit joints here, this width is 5 inches. So the curtain wall glass is sitting in the middle. So that glass is actually 2.5 inches away from the edge. Okay, because this is 5 inch all total, and this one sits in the middle. So that's 2.5 inch away from the edge of the slab. So that's the location we are going to place our curtain wall. Okay, so that's just one thing. Another thing is, in terms of the actual pieces of curtain wall system we have in the project, we need to come to your page or sheets A2.0. We'll look at the front elevation view. So as you see here, okay, all those areas where you see those pieces of glasses, all those are our storefront curtain wall systems. Together you have 1 section, 2 section, 3 section, 4, 5, 6 different sections, right? And unfortunately, because of the columns here that actually separates those sections of curtain walls, you cannot draw the curtain wall system continuously from this end all the way to this end. You have to draw those pieces individually. So one piece at one time, right? So now the next question becomes, how do I determine where does this section of curtain wall start and where does it end, right? So you have seen some dimensions here, but it will be easier actually for you to see the dimension at a different view, which is our floor plan, etc. So, for instance, this is your first section of curtain wall. Then it stops right here because you have a column here, right? Then you move to the next one from 3 to 5, you have another curtain wall. Then from 5 to 8, you have another curtain wall system. From 8 to 9, you have another curtain wall system. Then 9 to 11, you have another curtain wall system. The last one is 11 to 12. So you have a total of 6 different curtain wall systems. Now, what we need to determine is, for this first curtain wall system, where does it start? Where does it end? You approximately know that this curtain wall system is between grid line 1 and 3. However, you need to know precisely how far away from grid line 1 and how far away before grid line 3. That's what we need to find out, okay? So if I show you this, right? So you see that's the starting point, which literally is this side of the reference line for this dimension here, starting right there. Okay, that's the intersection of the green line with this reference line, dimension line here. So look at this drawing here. You tell me, okay, and this is a pop-up quiz for everyone in class. What is the distance? Listen very carefully. What my question is, what is this distance from the starting point of this curtain wall here, this starting point, this point here, from grid line 1? What's the distance between this starting point of the curtain wall system and grid line 1? What's the distance? Could you type that answer in your box? Try to at least try. Tell me. Okay, we have 5 feet, 5 feet, not sure. Any other answers? Okay, Ruben says 5 feet 6 inches. Anyone else? Okay, 5, 6. Any different idea? Any different? Okay, so Josh, how did you get 5 feet 7 inches? I don't know that part. Okay, is a typo? All right, 5 feet 6 inches. Okay, so what if I say it's actually 4 feet 6 inches? Why is that, right? So we need to pay attention. So the 5 feet, okay, the 5 feet dimension you're looking at is measuring from the starting point of the curtain wall and all the way to the face of the other side of the column. See that? So the 5 feet, okay, you are measuring from here to here. That's 5 feet. Well, what I'm asking you is the distance between this line, okay, because that's where the grid line is, to here. So this is shorter. Do you see that 6 inch right there? So that 6 inch, okay, needs to be deducted from this 5 feet. Okay, so that's why it's supposed to be 4 feet 6 inches. Does that make sense? Any different opinion? Anyone wants to challenge this? It's okay. Well, it takes time for sometimes, you know, you just didn't pay attention. Oh, that's actually where the dimension line is measuring. Okay, so just make sure that you understand where it is measuring. It is measuring between this side of the column and this side of the column. And we know this side of the column is where the current one starts. But what I was asking is what's the distance between this starting point and the grid line number 1. Okay, so it's 4 feet 6 inches. Okay, so that's what I was talking about. Okay, so with that being identified, then the next question becomes the other end of the current wall. We know that a current wall stops right there by the face of the column as well. And you know the total width of this column is 5 feet. Do you see that? Okay, now my question becomes, what is the distance between the ending point of the current wall and grid line number 3? What's that distance there? Try answer that question again. Okay, well, Mirage, you get that right. 2 feet 6 inches. It's right half of that, right? So that right half of that. Okay, 2 feet 6 inches. Great. So now with those information, I think we're good to go to place the curtain wall itself, right? Okay, so starting from this 4 feet 6 inches away and 2 foot 6 inches before number 3. Okay, but before we place this, why don't we actually try place all those reference lines at one time? So okay, so we have this one inside here, then you have a second one between 3 and 5. So okay, the second section of curtain wall is going to start 2 foot 6 inches beyond grid line 3 and it stops 2 feet and 6 inches before grid line 5. Then the next one will be starting at grid line 2 foot 6 inches beyond grid line 5 and it stops 2 foot 6 inches before grid line 8, etc., etc. So that's what you need to understand. So let's do this. So before we actually place the component, let's just mark up those locations of the curtain wall itself first. So I will go to my Revit, and if you remember that we use those green lines to actually mark up those curtain wall locations, mark up a reference line. Okay, so the green lines are usually it's called a model line, and they are usually used for reference line purposes. But now, don't forget, you are still at the George bearing 14.8. Okay, when now we're supposed to be here. Remember that because we were a moment ago we were modeling a structural component. That's why we always go to the top of the structural component. But if you want to model like a curtain wall, which is an architectural component, we were actually going to model that from the bottom of that component. So we're actually going to finish for 0, 0. So make sure that you jump to 0, 1, finish, floor, 0, 0. Okay. So then a couple cosmetic things that I want you guys to do is, well, first, I really don't need, okay, the color. The color is very destructive. So what I'm trying to do is I am going to click on that view style. I'm going to change that view style to hidden line. So that will actually, okay, cancel the color, which I think it's easier to look at. Okay. So then we're going to use the model line. So the model line is located in under the architecture tab, and you see on the model tab there, you'll see the model line command right there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark up the starting points and ending points for each of those curtain wall sections. So this one is supposed to be 4 foot 6 inches away from grid line 1, but when you actually first trying to place it, doesn't even matter. As long as you do something like this, right? You go to the bottom and then go up. Make sure that it actually intersects with the horizontal green line we had originally placed. You'll be just good. Okay? Do that one. And then the distance we're going to rely on is going to be this, right? Click on that reference line, the model line, and you see, okay, this dimension line is not measuring exactly what I want. It is measuring the center of the wall. I want to measure that actually grid line 1. So this distance is supposed to be 4 feet 6 inches. So in keyboard, on your keyboard, you're going to type 4 feet bus, okay? 4 space 6 and hit enter. So you get 4 feet 6 inches. So that's that location. And you probably know that, yes, this intersection is where the starting point of your curtain wall section number 1, right? Now, the ending point of the curtain wall is supposed to be where? It's supposed to be 2 foot 6 inches before grid line 3. So you would do the model line again. So you're going to do something like this, right? So you can say, I'm going to place a vertical line on this side, and I'm actually going to do another line on the other side as well. Okay. Okay. So this line is supposed to be 2 foot, okay, 2 feet and a 6 inch away from grid line 3. This one's supposed to be the same thing. 2 feet 6 inch away from grid line 3. Okay. So now, instead of actually going to place those one by one across the whole project, next one will be 5, then 8, then 9, then 11. Okay. What we're gonna do is this. We're trying to copy and paste. Okay. I can just copy those double green lines and place them at grid line 5, at grid line 8, 9, and 11. So this is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So select the 2 green model lines, click on one and hold your control key down and choose the other one here. So you will select both of those lines. What you're going to do is you tell the program, I want you to copy those 2 lines and then paste them where I need reference lines like this as well. So you do a copy, okay, right here. Do you see where my mouse is clicking? Copy. Okay, go ahead and click on copy. And because you are doing multiple copies, so make sure your multiple copy is actually checked. If you do not have your multiple copy checked, please do that. Okay, check multiple. Then what you need to do, you need to decide is, how do I control that all my copy is going to be exactly on top of the grid lines? For instance, 5, 8, 9, 11. That will actually depend on where do you choose as the first reference line, right? So I choose grid line 3 as my first reference line. So then I can move that horizontally and click on grid line 5 one time, and click on grid line 8 one time, click on grid line 9 one time, and finish by click on grid line 11 one time. Okay, so again, it's where do you have double grid lines as reference lines? You have 3, 5, and 8, as well as 9, as well as 11. Okay, so then the last green model line will be the one next to grid line number 12, which is supposed to be 4 feet 6 inches away or before grid line 12. So you add that one more green line right there. Okay, so right there, and make sure that the distance is measuring, not measuring the center of the wall. Remember that it's actually measuring that grid line right there, supposed to be 4 feet 6 inches. So that will give all the reference line you will need to determine the starting point and the ending point of your curtain wall systems. Any questions on this? Any question on deploy those reference lines? If you do, raise your hand. Okay, Jose, you can talk.
Yeah, how did you copy the lines again?
Okay, do you want me to show you one example, or do you want to just simply ask me to redo it?
Yeah, can you just redo it, please?
Okay. All right. All right. But you already got the two, right? Did you get the first two?
You did
How
place,
far are they from the?
Do you have the two around grid line 3?
Yeah, I just don't know what the distance is from the middle.
Well, what do you think? Look at the chat. What do you think it is? It's 2 feet 6 inches from grid line 3.
Okay, yeah, I have that then.
Okay. So now you choose. How do you know how to select both grid lines?
Is it control? And
Yeah,
then,
you select one and you use a control key. Push the control key down. Choose the other line, right? So now I get 2 lines selected, right?
yep.
Okay. So then you click on copy. Do you see copy right there? Look at my screen.
Yep. Yeah.
Make sure your multiple is checked. See that?
Yep.
Okay. Now the next click is very important because what you want is actually going to place those exactly on top of the grid line, right? So you will choose the existing grid line as the first starting reference line. So click on that, grid line 3, click once,
Okay.
then move your mouse horizontally. Don't go like, an angle. See that? Don't do
Yeah.
that. Just drag that to number 5, choose number 5, click on number 5 only once,
Okay.
then go to your number 8 and click on that once, then go to number 9, do that again, just click on number 9, then go to number 11 and click the last time. Then you are done. Click on modify. So you should have all the double grid lines being placed on grid line 5, 8, 9, 11. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the last line is another individual grid line, which is the one before grid line number 12, right? So the number that this green model line is supposed to be placed 4 feet 6 inches away from grid line 12. So place that, you just draw that green line first, then you click on the green line itself. Make sure that you're measuring actually between this model line and the grid line number 12, and change that reading of the dimension to 4 feet 6 inches and hit enter. Get that?
Is it the middle of that wall, or is it?
No, you have to drag that board down to grid line number 12. That's what we're trying to say. It's measuring between the green line and the grid line number 12, not the center of the wall. Okay? You know how to drag the boot outs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just not giving me the option to put it on 12. It just keeps putting it in the middle.
Well, you don't click on it, you drag it. Okay? If you just click on that, it's gonna switch between the side and face of the wall. But if you drag that boot out and drag it down, okay? Drag it down. See my
Okay.
screen?
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yep.
Okay. Make sure that's 4 feet 6 inches. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Do we all get that? Everyone's fine now? Okay, so if that's the case, Jose, lower your hand. Okay, good, thanks. Now we have all the reference line done. We're good to go to place our curtain wall system. Okay, so go ahead, go to your wall command. Okay, you are still make sure that you are currently on the floor plane. You are on 01 finish floor 00 and go to the wall command. Click on the wall command. What I want you to do is you click on that drop down type selector, and what I want you to do is actually go all the way down until you see there's 3 options under curtain wall. Okay, there's 3 different options under curtain wall. The one we are going to use, okay, is called curtain wall 1, so which is this one. Okay, this is curtain wall 1. The reason we don't use storefront exterior glazing is just basically a piece of glass that does not have a way for you to configure the curtain grids. The storefront will have evenly distributed, okay, moulins already placed with it. So neither one is appropriate for my particular model. So I would choose a curtain wall 1 itself. So go ahead and choose curtain wall 1. Okay. There is one thing though. There's one thing I need you to pay attention. Okay. Reason why I say that is after we place the first section of the curtain wall, you probably will notice anyway. So what I wanted to call your attention is in typical, construction, the curtain wall, okay, the wall is actually a piece of glass plus those aluminum molding. So the glass location is kind of interesting, right? Most of the people actually put the glass right in the middle, like what we see here from our drawings here, as you see here. So if you actually go to its section, you notice that the curtain was here, the glass is sitting right in the middle, right? So that's a typical setup. But for some of the storefront, such as some other retailing stores, they actually put the glass a little closer to the interior side, so it is possible as well. But in this case, we have it right in the middle. So by default, Revit's curtain wall will place its glass like slightly offset to the inside. So then we need to fine tuning it. Okay, so that's something I want to get your heads up. Now what we're trying to do is place a curtain wall between this intersection and this intersection. But before that, we need to actually figure out one thing, right? So we know that curtain wall is going from 0, 0 to 9 foot 8 inches. Now, in this case, the base offset here is completely wrong, okay? Because we don't need a base offset. When you have a base offset, that tells you that's where the wall starts. No, the 9 foot 8 inches is not where the wall starts. It's where the wall ends. So you need to change that base offset to be 0. Okay, so please do that. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead and change the base offsets to be 0. Set the best constraints to be 0, 0. Now, the top of the wall, again, like I said, the curtain wall height is 9 feet 8 inches. But if you look at those available level lines, we do not have a level line that is 9 foot 8 inches. So what you have here basically is 2 things, right? You have a finish 400, or you have a door span 14/8. Technically speaking, you can do either way. If you choose 14/8, which is higher than where your curtain was supposed to be, then what you need to do is you need to provide a minus, okay, a minus 5 feet offset, because you are at 14/8, you minus 5 feet, you get 9 foot 8 inches, right? I usually go with the 0, 0 because I want my top offsets to be positive. So in this case, you will say, well, the base constraint is at a 0, 0. Now your top constraint is at a 0, 0. Does that mean that you will have a 0 height? Well, yeah, absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because it's 0 height. So that's why I needed to add that top offset here. That will give me the 9 feet 8 inches tall, okay, that wall heights for my curtain wall. So trying to reiterate, okay, your base constraint is supposed to be 0, 0. The base offset is supposed to be 0, 0. Your top constraints will still be 0, 0. However, your top offset is going to be 9 foot 8 inches. So that's how you actually get a curtain wall that is 9 feet 8 inches tall. Any questions on the settings for the wall for the curtain wall here? Okay, so if you're good, then we're good to go. So draw a curtain wall is really simple, right? You choose the first, which is the starting point of your curtain wall, which intersects, okay, which is the intersection of this reference line and the slab edge reference line. The slab edge reference line is the horizontal line, right? So you choose this intersection, click on that, move your mouse to the other end, which is stop right here, right? Stop right here, okay? So then click on modify. So you notice, as I explained, you have a wall here, but you notice that glass. This is the glass. The glass is not sitting in the middle of your wall, okay? Glass is not sitting in the middle of the wall. So that's something we have to address. But before I do that, let's go ahead and take a look at 3D again. So this is our curtain wall. Nothing fancy, just a piece of glass, okay? Just a piece of glass. Now, to fix the problem, when you actually zoom in a little bit, when you actually move your mouse on top of that, do you notice that the glass is not in the middle of the reference line, right? So we need to fix that problem. So what we're gonna do, go back to our finish floor 0, 0, okay? We're trying to select that piece of glass. The problem is this, right? When you're trying to select the wall, you always select the whole wall. You won't be able to actually choose the individual glass inside of the wall. Okay, so that's the problem. But we do have a solution now. So what do you need to do? Instead of click and select the wall, you move your mouse. You move your mouse on top of that wall. Highlight that wall. Do you see my wall is being highlighted? Okay. When you move your mouse there, you see the wall is being highlighted. So then what you do, you're actually going to hit the tab key on your keyboard, the TAB, the tab key on your keyboard. Hit tab key for me. Then you can grab that piece of glass right there. Okay. So tab key is the magic key. Okay. Once you get that, let me know if you have questions or actually you can't select that glass. Let me know. Okay, because this is important. All right. Looks like everyone is able to actually select that piece of glass. Once the glass has been selected, then the glass probably is going to show up here. What I want you to change is this, right? I want you to change that by click on edit type. Okay. Now, the problem with our offsets here is because of this offset value. Once you click on edit type, some students probably remember you said, well, most of the time, if you want to change something, want to customize something, don't you supposed to make a duplicate? Well, yes or no. In this case, we're not trying to create a new family. We're trying to modify a feature of an existing family. So in this case, you can actually just change that at this point. Okay, don't worry about duplicating. We're not trying to create a new curtain wall system. We're barely trying to modify its original property. So in this case, what I want you to do is change the offset to be 0. Okay, change the offset to be 0. And click on apply and then click on OK. Now you see what happened here is now your piece of glass now is moved to the center of your wall. Okay. Did everyone get this? Are we all clear on this one? I mean, again, ask a question if you do not get it. Okay, looks like everyone gets it. Perfect. That's great. Now, once that's done, well, it's still just a piece of glass, right? You know, compared with what we see from our model, from our drawings, it's quite different. So if you look at your drawings, all right, let's go to sheet test 8.2.0. So you'll probably next question will become, well, in this case, for this section, first section, doesn't mean we are done. Well, no, not really. We're not done at all. Okay, we're barely getting started. What we have done so far basically is just providing this glass here. That's it. Okay, but do notice, even just for the first section of the curtain wall, you still have those separate panels one by one. See that? Okay. So our next job is trying to identify the pattern. Identify the pattern. how they actually organize those individual panels, right? So you'll see, okay, so it's quite obvious. We have one area here, another area here, another area here, and another area here. So it's roughly decided by the door. So this is actually a door, okay? It is, yes, it's a curtain wall, but you also have a curtain door, right? It's a glass door. So wherever you have a door, you'll have this little area be, its own subsection. So I have one subsection, two subsection, three subsection, four subsections. And another thing, it's very easy to ignore, but you have to pay attention is between this subsection, which basically goes from here to here, right? And another subsection goes from here to here, okay? Between those two sections, you do have one little narrow, extremely narrow panel here. Not only just there, but also here, but also here. So those subsections are divided by those narrow panels. So you cannot ignore those narrow panels either, okay? Because you have to reserve space for those narrow panels. So how thick is this narrow panel, right? How thick is this narrow panel? So if you actually go back to A1.1, it tells you exactly how much is it, right? See this subsection, the door is here, two panels on each side. Then there's a very narrow panel, which is 8 inches. Then door here, two sections on one side, two sections on one side, another very narrow panel, another door, another two subsection, and a narrow panel. And this final one only have one door and one piece of glass on each side, okay? So slightly different for the last one. But anyway, you get the pattern there, right? Realize those 8 inch, 8 inch, 8 inch. So then we'll go back to A2.0. Another thing you have to tell yourself is, okay, let's say we have this subsection defined, okay? Now we have the door. Well, without even actually looking at anything, the immediate thought to you will be saying, this door looks to me, it's in the middle. Well, you're absolutely right. It's right in the middle. Then you'll have a further observation says, the next thing I can determine is this, right? Those two panels, they should have equal width as well, which means this line is right in the middle of this large panel. So they actually separates the large panel into two even, sub panels. And you're absolutely right, right? You're absolutely right. So what we need to do in this case is we need to locate the door first in the middle. Then what we need to do is actually trying to look up how wide the door is. Then we create this line here. Then we actually use this line to further divide this subpanel into two evenly distributed panels. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here, right? So first thing first, we always have to go with where the door is first. Then you separate those other panels evenly on each side to further distribute those sub panels for the subsection. So that basically is the logic of your workflow, okay? So let's try to work this thing out, right? Let's try to work this thing out. Okay, so where are we supposed to get started, right? Where are we supposed to get started? We have those dimensions, but the dimensions are not so useful. Like for this one, okay, it's 20 feet from measuring from this thing here. Well, grid line 1, that's fine. How about this one? Well, grid line 2, okay, that's good. There's 15 feet, there's 15 feet. So you do have some of the useful dimensions here. So what we're trying to do here is, I say let's use grid line number 2 first, okay? Use grid line number 2 first. Then what I can determine is, if I have grid line 2 here, this small narrow panel will halfway on the left side, halfway on the other side. So if the total panel of this narrow panel is 8 inches, then the edge of the half side on this left side is going to be 4 inches beyond grid line. This is going to be 4 inches beyond grid line 2. Okay, so that's the kind of information I need to know. So this one is 1956 inches away from it. That's fine, but okay, you need to differentiate the grid line location and the actual dimension location. Dimension of the dimension line here is dimension to the center of that narrow panel, not on the edge. So it's in the middle. So then if you know that dimension line is here, then you need to know this one is 4 inches away from the left side. This one is 4" away from the right side. So things like this is to pay attention. So let's go ahead and go to our model, okay? And to be able to distribute those grid lines, 3D definitely is not the right place to do those cutting grids. It's very difficult to do that. A full plane doesn't allow you to do grid line because you don't really have the face of the glass, okay? So you can't do that here either. So where we're supposed to do that? We're supposed to look at actually the elevation view. So let's go ahead and go to south elevation. If you could follow me, go to double click under elevation view, building elevation, double click on south elevation view. So you will see this giant piece of bluish color glass, and don't worry about that wall in the background. It's not going to do anything, okay? So that's just fine. And again, I really don't like the color. I think it's very distracting. So I will actually cancel the color to make that to be a hidden line style.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
The zoom thing that you use to move the whole project, the little on the top right. Do you see it? My box, it disappeared. Do you know how to get it back?
You're talking about
Like
the
the
whole thing here?
like move your mouse to the right a little bit. The top right. It's like a little box they use to move the whole project. To use a zoom in, zoom out.
Oh yeah. Well, because I'm sharing the screen with you, so that's why you can't get that.
Oh yeah. Basically mine disappeared. Do you know how to get it back?
Do you see my screen at all?
Yeah, I see your screen.
Okay, and you don't see your own screen.
No.
Do you have okay?
No, I'm saying like you see the little tool they use to zoom in, that tool right there next to your mouse?
Uh-huh.
My tool, I've been using that and it disappeared right now. Do you know how to get it back? It's like, I don't know if
you have one box like that. You have another box like this, and because
it's on the Revit. I'm talking about the Revit.
Oh, Revit. Okay, this thing here.
Go a little bit down.
Like
right.
This one.
The one right next to it, the little box.
This one.
No. You just barely missed it. It's the zoom tool. That tool.
This one.
How do I get that whole box back? Yeah.
You're talking about this navigation box.
Yeah, the navigation box.
Okay, it's actually here under view.
View.
User interface.
User. Let me see.
User interface.
All right.
And the navigation bar.
All right. Thank you.
Get that?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, so did you get that? Okay, let's cancel the color by choose the hidden line style. And those two section view symbols are quite annoying. I'm going to go ahead and delete them, okay? If you say, well, your section view will be deleted, that's fine. Go ahead and delete that. And delete this one as well, that's fine. Don't need that view. We can actually get those views back later on. But I just want to have a clear view of this piece of glass. And I want to see all grid lines 1, 2, 3, right? That's what I want, okay? All right, so starting by laying out the grid lines, okay? So the panels, each individual panel will be defined by a type of grids. We call that grids cutting grids, okay? So it is a command on your architecture tab. It's next to the cutting mooling and the cutting system. It's right here. It's called cutting grids. The cutting grids help you to lay out how would you like to set up your panels. So if you move your mouse on top of cutting grid, it will actually show you a little video, like an animation, show you, okay, so if you want to set up your cutting grid this way, then people will be able to separate the big piece of glasses into small sections. So the cutting grids is the reference line we use to determine how we would like to separate those big piece of glass into small sections, okay? Now, according to our drawing right here, we are at grid line 2. So then we have a small panel that goes through the grid line 2, but 4" on each side. So what we're gonna do first, go ahead, choose the cutting grid command right here, okay? So when you're trying to place a cutting grid that is vertical, you will actually move your mouse along its horizontal edge. Means, okay, my mouse is actually go horizontally, right? Okay, that's how you actually place a vertical cutting grid. Okay, at this point in time, I know I need to I need one cutting grid 4 inches on the left side of grid line 2, need another one 4 inch on the right side of grid line 2. But at this point of time, it's very difficult to get exactly 4 inches. So what I would recommend is just put one in here and put one in here. It doesn't even matter where they're at this moment. So then once you get that done, click on modify. What you're going to do is actually use that temporary dimension to make sure that they are 4 inches away. So 0 space 4, hit enter, and make sure that the measurement is actually with the grid line 0 4. So that will give you 4 inch on this side, 4 inch on that side, altogether is 8 inch. Okay, so that's the first 2 cutting grid you will place. Then you're gonna move to this little narrow panel because that's the panel separates this section and this section. So we need to determine that first. However, the only dimension we have between this panel and the grid line 2 is this dimension right there. Okay, the dimension is measuring to the center of that panel, not the edge. So what we need to do is we need to first pretend that we actually have a cutting grid here in the middle of the panel. Then we draw a 4 inch one next to it on both sides. Then delete the one, okay, we just place as reference. Okay, so this is how it works. We'll place another cutting grid, click on cutting grid, and we'll just, okay, drop it here. It doesn't really matter where it is, just drop it there. Make sure that distance here is 19 feet 6 inches. So then by following this 19 feet 6 inches, we can actually define the edge of that little narrow panel because it's a 4 inch on each side from the center. So what you're going to look like is you're going to do another cutting grid right here, which is going to be 4 inches away. Try your best if you actually get a 4 inch. If you can't, well, just do this, right? One on one side, the other one on the other side. Say here, we wanted to make that to be 4 inch, make this to be 4 inch. Then once you get that done, well, the middle one you don't really need, right? Because we don't have one. We'll just pretend that we have one so we can use that as a reference. So you can delete that one, okay? So now you have this narrow panel done, okay? How about the other side, right? We still have another narrow panel that separates 2 sections here as well. So you look at this side, it says, how far away is it? Well, it's 15 feet from grid line 2. Again, that 15 dimension goes to the middle of that narrow panel. So we're going to repeat ourselves again. So what we're going to do is use cutting grid and just drop it. And then we measure that from the center of that, okay, grid line number 2, change that to 15, okay? Then, well, we don't necessarily have this grid line. This grid line is not supposed to be exist, but because we need it for the 2 grid lines next to it, so I'm going to draw a cutting grid on one side and the other side. Make sure those cutting grid is 4 inches away from that line we just drew a moment ago. And then once you get those 2 grid lines in place, that defines the edge of that narrow panel, we get rid of that original reference grid line. We don't need it, okay? So that's how you actually determine the location of the final grid line there. Okay, Patrick, question? Patrick? You have your
it
hands
was
up.
19.6 off the center of the grid line, correct? Not off the face of the curtain.
Say it one more time. What do you mean?
It's 19.6 off the grid line, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So 96 measure from the center of the panel on the grid line. Okay. All right. Same thing here. So that's why I always do the center place first, even though you do not really have a cutting grid there. But that's because that's the dimension you got, right? So then you use that one to place the 2 on each side. So the total width of those 2 cutting grids is 8 inches. But you do not know it's, well, I guess you can calculate that as well. But in this case, I just say 96 to the middle, then 4 inch on one side, 4 inch on the other side. So that way, give me the desired location of this cutting panel here. Okay. So any questions so far for those couple of cutting grids?
Yeah. What was the center of the current grids on the left side?
It's 19.6. Look at that. Look at your join right there. See that
Yeah.
19.6 right there?
Okay. I
Okay.
see it.
Okay. Are we all good to move on? Okay. So if that's the case, then what you need to do is for each subsection here, right? We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 subsections there. The first thing for those subsections is we're trying to define where the door is. And according to our drawing, it's pretty obvious, right? The door is always in the middle, 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 middle. Then once we locate the door in the middle, then what's got left on each side will be distributed evenly. And of course, you will need to know the door is in the center, but how wide the door is, right? That's important as well. Okay, so first thing first, so this is what we're trying to do, right? We'll find out the center of the door. Then we decide what the age of the door is going to be. To know the age of the door, we need to know the width of the door. So could somebody help me out? Which drawing sheet can I use to look up the width of the door? Anyone want to try? Which drawing sheets am I supposed to look at to look up for the width of the door? Anyone? A1? Not A1. A1 is the floor plan. Remember that? If you do not know, where will be the place to look up? You have your cover sheet, right? So if you go to cover sheets, you're trying to look for. So first, maybe change the question, the way we ask a question. What will typically give? Okay, Ruben actually get that answer. It's A5.0. A5.0 is what? It's called schedule, right? It's a door window schedule. Okay, so A5.0. Look at the schedule. Okay, so there is a schedule. Those schedule and details. This table right there. Okay, the current wall type 1 door is 3 feet by 7 feet. Okay, that's the wall. And all the curtain walls except for unit B in the middle, you have a double curtain door, which is actually made of 2 single curtain door. So other than that, all the doors are 3 feet by 7 feet. It's 3 feet wide, 7 feet tall. Okay, so if that's 3 feet, okay, what it means, if we go back to A2.0, okay, look at that. So if this door is 3 feet wide, if I decide I'm actually going to place the center of the grid line first, if it's a 3 foot, okay, then on each side it's supposed to be 1 foot 6 inches away from the center, right? Okay, that's how you actually determine the door age. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm actually going to do this, trying to activate my curtain grid command again. So first thing first, I know that, okay, from my drawing, the door is in the middle. So all you have to do here is you don't even have to calculate what is the center. All you have to do is move your mouse and you kind of move around and all of a sudden Revit actually snaps to the middle point. You see that middle point of a curtain panel? Perfect. So click on that. That will become your center of your door. Then you need to know, okay, you need to determine the age of the door. So we'll put 1 foot 6 inch for one side and 1 foot 6 inch on the other side, right? That give you the 3 feet wide door, okay? The 3 foot wide door. Then what's got left is this panel needs to be evenly distributed, which means you want to snap to the center of that panel. You're going to snap to the center of the panel. Once you're done with that, you get rid of that middle line in the middle of the door. So that will give you the door, the 2 even panel and 2 even panel on each side of the door. Does everyone get that? Any questions on this?
Sorry, can you do that one more time?
Sure. Okay. So first thing first, right? This panel, this subsection needs to be, okay, divided so that the door is going to be sit in the middle. Then on each side of the door, there will be 2 evenly distributed panels. That makes sense, right? Okay. You know, to do that, you click on the curtain grid itself, you move your mouse, you say, then you look at the location of the curtain grid, you just move it, okay? You just move around, and all of a sudden, the program is gonna snap to the center, okay? So you see, okay, on both sides is 7 feet 5 inches. That's about right. So that's the right location of the center of your door. So place that curtain grid. This curtain grid is only temporary. You just want to move them, remove it later on. But this it is important because it tells me where the center of the door is. So then once the door center is located, then the edge of the door is supposed to be 1 foot 6 inches away from on the other side, on the left side, 1 foot 6 inch on the left side, on the right side. Okay, so that become the edge of the door. Make sense? Okay, then to move from this left panel, it has to be further divided into 2 evenly distributed panel. So you move your mouse, make sure that they have the even dimension. Same thing here, even size panel. So you have those panels separated. Then, like I said, the center of the door, that curtain grid is redundant. You don't need that. So you can go ahead and delete that. But it's great reference line for you to locate where the door is. Everyone gets that? Okay, so then you can follow the same exact methodology, right? So let's say, hey, I have this curtain grid right in the middle, okay? Then I have 1 foot 6 inches on one side, 1 foot 6 inches on the other side, then split that, and then split that, right? Okay, so for the other one, okay, center, this is the center, then 1 foot 6 inches on one side, 1 foot 6 inches on the other side, then split, okay? The last piece is different because the last piece, if you look at the last section, you only have a door, and then what's got left is what's got left, okay? You don't have a split here. You just have one piece of big panel right there, one big piece of panel there. So the last one is easier. All you have to do is locate its center, then 1 foot 6 inches away, and 1 foot 6 inches away. Then what's got left is the big panel there. So then you go ahead and delete all the center grid for your doors. Okay, you don't need that one, you don't need that one, you don't need this one either. Now that will give you all the vertical curtain grids you will need to separate those panels into those desired vertical panels there. If you look at the drawings here, that's what you're supposed to get, right? 1, 2, 3, all the different pieces. Now, however, we're not done yet, okay? We're not done yet because why? Well, not only we have some vertical curtain grid lines, you also have some horizontal curtain grid lines. See that? And you still have to decide because your door is not supposed to be from the bottom all the way up. The door stops at 7 feet tall, okay? So this is 7 feet, all right? So that distance here, this is going to be 7 feet, okay? So you still need to actually put this line here, this grid line here, this grid line here, and this grid line here. Okay. So the differences between the horizontal grid line and the vertical grid line is sometimes in this case, the horizontal grid lines will skip a couple of different panels. In this case, at the bottom part of the grid line, I have the grid line across the whole thing except where I have a door, except where I have a very narrow panel. So those two different locations, I do not have, a curtain grid. Same with this one, we don't have that horizontal curtain grid with the door, don't have with the narrow panel, etc., etc. Okay. So what we're going to do with that is first we need to locate what is the height of this horizontal, the lower part horizontal grid line. You know that door is 7 feet tall, so that's easy. But now, what is the height for this lower part of the grid line? Can somebody actually help me out? What is the reading? What's the height here? Can you find out? What is the height here? Where should we go to look up for that dimension there? Another prime reading question, right? You can't obviously get anything from here. Okay, you can't get from here. Anyone wants to try? Where should we go to? No? Nobody wants to try? How about I come here? Tell me what is the height of that concrete? Do you see that now? No one? Zoom in? What's the height? What's the reading there? That's right. It's a 2 feet 1 inch. Okay, that's the height of your bottom concrete. Okay, so what are we gonna do? You use a concrete again. Okay, this time you join horizontal concrete. Okay, you move your mouse along the vertical side. When you first place it, it's very difficult to get 2 foot 1 inch exactly. So you just place that horizontal line anyway. Okay, do that one concrete anyway. Then click on that concrete. What you need to do is actually decide this height is supposed to be 2 feet 1 inch. Okay, get that? Then what you need to do is subtract the places where you don't need the concrete. In this case, okay, what you need to do is you're gonna subtract this concrete from here, here, the door, narrow panel, door, narrow panel, door again. So concrete is very unique, okay? So when you actually have a concrete in place, not only it's aligned, but also it actually controls every single section of this curtain wall panel. So which means if you want to delete this section, all you have to do is reactivate the curtain grid command itself. So you choose the curtain grid itself. Then you go to your modify, you choose add or remove segments. What does this thing do? It basically allows you to, okay, customize where do you want to keep the curtain grid, where do you want to hide the curtain grid, or actually remove the curtain grid. So in this case, we have the curtain grid all done, but we need to remove some redundant sections. So you have to do is click on that and add a remove section. So once you get that activated, all you have to do is click the panels where you don't want a curtain grid. So you can click on here, it's gone. And you can click on here, it's gone, but you just don't see it because it's not obvious, it's too narrow, but it's gone, okay? The door here again, and this narrow panel as well, and I click on that as well, and the narrow panel again, and then that door right there. So then you click on modify again, you will see, right? Wherever I click on that panel, then the lower curtain grid segment will be removed from the original grid line. Okay, it's gone. Okay, so you see that. You can see the line is still there. It just do not have the curtain grid applied on this particular panel, which you will indicate. So I don't need a segment on this panel. I don't need a segment on this panel. You don't need a segment on this panel, etc., etc. Okay, that's that. Now, in order to add that curtain grid on top of the door, which you have 1 door, 2 doors, 3 doors, and 4 doors, you need to add 4 segments here, okay? So let's go ahead and click on the curtain grid again. So this time, things a little different. Why? Previously, when we actually placed the bottom curtain grid, we have majority of those panels actually need that segment of the curtain grids. So you just place them at a one time, then remove the ones you don't want. In this case, a total of 4 segments are needed. So you're not going trying to place the curtain grid through all segments. Instead, you say, let's do one segment at one time. So you do one segment, you place this one segment here. Okay, it doesn't matter where it is at this point. You just place them, then you say, the height is supposed to be dragged to the bottom of your floor. It's supposed to be 7 feet. Okay, supposed to be 7 feet tall. That's where the curtain grid is supposed to be. It's 7 feet above ground. That's the height of the door. Okay. Now the question becomes, well, at this point, I only have one segment of curtain grid. Previously, I had every segment have a curtain grid. Then I can remove this one. In this case, what you need will be interesting, right? Students might ask, can I actually do another curtain grid, okay, and add that individual curtain grid on top of the door here, 7 feet? Well, the thing is, you're not supposed to do so because you have already got one curtain grid in place. It's the right place. All you have to do is actually add a segment there. Okay, you no longer need to draw a new segment. You just need to add a segment to an existing curtain grid. So what you're gonna do is you choose this one segment above the door, say add a segment, so you can add one where the door is, and add another one where this door is, and add another one where this door is. So then click on modify. So you see that all the doors will actually have that one segment needed being added to the existing grid line. So again, like I said, if you have a curtain grid already in place, and if you just need that segment, you don't need a new curtain grid. You need to add that segments on the panel where you need it. Okay, so it's quite unique situation. Okay, so do we have any questions here in terms of layout? By now, we have all the curtain grids needed, placed in place, right? We already have them in place in the right place, and we have them all done. So if you go to your 3D view, so you have this perfectly laid out curtain grids, and the curtain wall is already in place. All you need to add now is the actual aluminum molding to form the structure for this curtain wall, right? Okay, so that's the last step. So how do you actually apply the moldings? It's really, really simple. So go ahead and go to your molding, which is next to the curtain grid. Click on that molding command. You'll see the default molding type is 2.5 inch, okay, thick, and a 5-inch wide molding, rectangle molding. You can see that. That's the type of molding we use by default. Then, because we will need a molding wherever we have a curtain grid, so you will choose the all grid lines placement. Okay, so you're gonna place the curtain moldings everywhere you have a curtain grid. So go ahead and choose that all grid lines. Then you move your mouse on top of that curtain wall and just highlight the curtain wall itself and then click only once. So then click on modify. So you'll see the curtain wall is done. Okay, you see everywhere you had a curtain grid, you will have a molding there, right? So continuously placed, it does really look like a real curtain wall. Okay. So any questions on this so far? Okay, Jose, speak out.
Where did you press for the molding?
So do you choose the molding command? Look at my screen. Did you select the molding command?
Okay.
Then you move your mouse on top of the wall and click the wall only once.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So technically speaking, we still have one little thing, one last little thing. Okay. Did we actually mention that this place here where my mouse is, this actually is not a panel. This is supposed to be a door, right? Because you look at a floor plan. Okay. Look at a floor plan. It is indeed a door. Well, what you have here, what we have here at this moment, obviously is not a door. Okay, it's just a piece of glass. And you're not expecting people to go through a piece of glass, right? So you need to turn that into a door. So to turn a curtain panel into a door is quite different from the common sense of, okay, we're gonna place a door in it. You know why? Because if you let's try this. It'll be easier for us to try and see how that works. Let's go back to our finished floor 0, 0 again. Okay. So you see the curtain wall right there. You have the mullions there. Everything's in place. Everything looks great. Okay. Now let's try the door command. Right. You see that architecture tab, the door command. It doesn't really matter what door you are using. Okay. It's maybe a single flash door, whatever. You can easily place this door on our foundation wall. Okay, see that door wall there? If you move your mouse on top of that, okay, wall, you can go ahead and place. Okay, then you have a door in place, which is really simple, right? Now, try to do the same thing to your curtain wall. Does it work? Yes? No? Probably not. You see that your mouse, your cursor turns into a stop sign basically. It says you can't place a door here. Why? Because the door you are trying to place is a common door. A common door only can be hosted by a common wall. And a curtain wall is not a common wall. It's a glass. It's a glass. So that's why you can't put this door inside of a glass. You will need to do or actually place the curtain door using a different approach. So let's go ahead and click on modify. Let's delete that door in there. We don't need that door. Let's go back to our 3D view a little quick. Okay, so for curtain walls, when you're trying to place a curtain door inside of curtain wall, you're not really trying to place it. You're actually replace it, which means you are going to change this panel from a pure glass into an actual door. So how to do this? It's quite tricky. So let's move our mouse on top of that panel. Not select, look, do not click on anything. Just move your mouse on top of, this panel. Close to maybe the bottom-ish place. Okay, then what you're gonna do, you're gonna move your mouse on top of that and make sure the wall is highlighted and use your tab key again. So again, the tab key is quite a tricky key. Tab key once, okay, well, it looks like it's selecting the bottom mullion. That's not what I want. Tab key again. Now you see the panel being highlighted, okay? That's when you actually select the panel. So you're gonna click, left click, and choose the panel. So once you select the panel, the system panel glazed will show up. That tells you currently your mouse is actually selecting the panel. So then what I want you to do is this, okay? I want you to click on edit type, okay? So what we want to do is we're no longer going to make this to be a panel. We want to make this to be a door. So in this case, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to go ahead and go to load. Click on load. Okay. Then let's go up one level and one more level until we see there is a folder called doors. Okay. So we'll go up 2 levels until we see a folder which is called doors. Double click and open the folder doors. And I want you to pay attention. We are only supposed to place curtain doors inside of a curtain wall. So make sure that you're only using the curtain door. So what type of curtain door do we use? Well, we already know that it's going to be a single door. So the only single door available is this one. It's called door curtain wall single glass RFA, which is a family file. So use that, okay, door. Okay, the size of the door, if you remember, for other doors, you probably have a size to choose from. This one does not have a size. Why? Well, because the size of the curtain door is solely determined by the size of the panel you're trying to select. So it doesn't make any sense for the system to assign a size to this door here. The size of the door will be determined by the glass you're choosing. So choose that single glass and open, and then the panel will be replaced by this door here. It's called door curtain wall single glass door, and click on OK. So then all of a sudden it's no longer a panel. It actually becomes a door. Okay, so that's how you actually place a door. Like I said, it's maybe place is not the right word. It's mostly like a replace, right? You replace a panel with a door. That's how you place. Okay, let's try it one more time. If you didn't get it, let's try one more time. Okay, for this door here, you obviously want to switch or replace this panel to a door. So move your mouse on top of the wall. You see something being highlighted. That's fine. Don't select anything yet. Tab key once. Well, you actually select that curtain moving. That's what you want. Tab again, then the curtain panel will be highlighted. That's where you choose to select the curtain panel and then click on edit type. This time we don't have to load anything because the glass door hasn't already been loaded. All you have to do is choose from the family. Here, choose curtain wall single glass and click on OK. Then it becomes a door. So you can do the rest of them by going here, choose that, edit type, and a single glass door, and same here, tab key, tab key, tab key. Sometimes it takes one try, sometimes it takes two tries, and three times, it doesn't matter. It depends on where your mouse is, right? One time doesn't work, doesn't work. Okay, move the mouse, oh, right there, okay? So it's where your mouse is clicking. So I cannot tell you, do you need three times or you need to tap three times or four times or maybe two times or maybe just once. It really, it's up to you where the mouse is. Now, anyway, so when we actually go back to our joins again. So look at sheets S1.1, we have those curtain doors. You notice the curtain door actually have a certain arrangement. So the door is opening first, it's opening outside, right? It's out of swing. And then you also have a left and a right difference here. In this case, how do we say a door is a left swing or right swing? It means which hand do you think it's easier for you to open the door and then walk into the building? For instance, in this case, will you actually use your left hand to open the door this way? You would not, because it will be extremely weird. Okay, you literally open the door, okay, towards the right side so you can walk. You would not use your left hand, you will use your right hand. So this is called a right hand outer swing door. Okay, same with this one, same with this one. Okay, so in Revit, let's go back to our model. Let's go back to our plan view, finish floor 0, 0. Okay, and then you look at this, you say, well, my door seems to be swinging differently. All my doors are actually left in swing door instead of, right out swing door. So how do I change that? So you can click on the door itself, not a problem. Select the door itself, then you'll see two pairs of control, right? Two pairs of control. One pair control is gonna determine in swing or out swing. The other is going to control left swing or right swing. So you're going to do this. Flip that. That gives you the desired swing of your door, just exactly the way it was being drawn on your paper drawings. Okay. You can try that. You can change its left and right. You can do this way. That becomes a left swing. Okay, left hand out swing door. But this is okay a right hand out swing door. Make sense? So that will conclude today's session. I'm going to stop recording now, okay? And I'm actually going to accommodate a few questions afterwards. So let's stop.